All right, everybody. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Marketing Coach Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Pacheco, and with me today, I have Nicole Simonin. Nicole is an ACE personal trainer, ACE health coach, TEDx speaker, host of Shape It Up Over 40 podcast, author of the No Fuss, No Mess Shape It Up cookbook, founder of Shape It Up LLC, licensed physical therapist assistant, and former professional ballet dancer. That's cool. Nicole has been featured in Rachael Ray In Season, Bicycle Magazine, Real Simple, and MSN. Since 2006, Nicole has been helping women lose weight for the last time. Nicole, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Michael. Thank you so much for having me on.
So yeah, thank you for joining us. And I like to kind of just open up the podcast by inviting a guest to tell us a little more about yourself and what got you into coaching.
Sure. How far back do you want me to go? I feel like everything has led up to this moment.
I was born.
Right. When I was 4. No. Yeah, I feel like every journey I've gone through, like every chapter in my life has really led me to this point. I was a professional ballet dancer. I love physical therapy, got into personal training actually while I was dancing professionally, because one of my friends was a personal trainer. I was like, oh my gosh, that's the coolest job ever. And so when I was working in the physical therapy realm, I was also doing personal training because they had a PT side and they also had a gym side. And they were like, do you want to just run the gym? It was a new company. I was like, sure. And I loved it so much. Then I got married and got pregnant, and I did not want to go back to work. So Shape It Up was born along with my 2 kids. And I've been doing it since 2006. And, any business that's been around that long, there evolutions, and changes and everything. And yeah. COVID actually was a blessing in my favor. As far as like, I really shifted everything to online. I brought in some more mindset coaching. And honestly, I keep telling everybody, I'm like, this is the best job ever. And if there's every job I've had, I'm like, this is great. This is great. And I absolutely love what I do. And if there's something after this, I cannot wait to see what it is, because it's going to blow my mind.
Nice. Awesome. Why coaching specifically?
When I started in 2006, I was a personal trainer and I had the nutrition certifications and all that. And it was like, here's the meal plan, here's the food log that you have to do, here's the exact calorie count, and all that. And here's the grueling workout, and it works. But as I've transitioned to my own life, I'm going to be 49 in the summer. And when you hit 40, some things change for women. So as I was going through that process, I was kind of understanding and unpacking a lot of what I had learned in the ballet world. I'm still unpacking things from the ballet world and kind of understanding why I do the things that I do. And I dove into mindset. The biggest book that changed my life, I actually have it right here, is Jen Sincero's You Are a Badass. Right. Pivotal in my life. And I was like, what is this mindset stuff? And I've read that book, I don't know how many times, 30 times at least. And then I started finding, how they say when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Well, different things started coming to me, and I was like, ooh, okay, that makes more sense. And now I understand more about the book and more about the mindset. So I started adding it to my own personal journey. And I found that it was so much easier to lose weight, keep it off, all that. And I didn't have to do the grueling workouts. I didn't have to do the food logging and all the micromanaging. And I started putting it on my clients, and they were getting the results. So the people I worked with in the beginning of my career, they lost the weight, but they haven't kept it off because it was that dieter's mentality. And the people that I'm working with now, I do the 3 pillars is fitness, fuel your body, manage your mind. And the third one is escaping me as we're talking. What's the third one? Fuel your body, move your body, fuel your body, and manage your mind. And once I started implementing that with clients, they were losing weight and they're keeping it off. And really, who wants to keep rehashing the whole, here we go again, you gained weight, now we got to lose it again, all that. I really teach a very simple and doable way on how to keep the weight off for good. And it's all mindset, really.
Well, you look amazing for 48 years old. So you're doing something right.
Something's working. I'm not a unicorn, I promise.
So you've got your kind of three pillars. What's the secret sauce inside those pillars that really makes it work for like the last time?
It's really the mindset piece. It's like, because you're still moving your body, you're still fueling your body, like you're still eating. I have a rule: no foods are off limits.
I like
But
that.
like, go ahead.
I like that rule.
Oh, you like that? I know everybody loves it and they don't believe me. I'm like, yes, you literally can eat whatever you want. So, but it's understanding why you want to grab the Oreos. Like, we're not stupid people. We know that apples are better for us than Oreos, right? But we still want the Oreos. And it's okay to want the Oreos, but just understanding why you're either emotionally eating, why you're overeating, why you're undereating. Like, we're so complex because, you know, we have these like limiting beliefs, these default thoughts that we think, compounded with, you know, societal standards, what we were taught as kids, you know, and all that. And so it's like an onion. We keep kind of unhashing all the things. So it's like, but once you understand the way your brain works and how you think, it's so much easier to be like, oh, I understand why I want to eat that entire sleeve of Oreo cookies.
It's not just because they're delicious.
There is that side, you know, our food is very far from food now, you know, and there's that, is that chemical component as far as like sugar has a dopamine hit.
Yeah.
But understanding, like, you know, and a lot of women that I work with are like, oh, it's my hormones. I'm like, let's see if it's really between your ears first and then let's go. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Do you have do you have like recommendations for like alternative foods to the sleeve of Oreos? Like maybe like a date bar or something like that?
Big Newton. I don't know. Yeah, well, this is where the mindset comes in. It's like, so if you want an Oreo cookie, it doesn't mean you can't have an Oreo cookie. It's like, why do you want the Oreo cookie?
Yeah.
If you want the Oreo cookie, like if you're not hungry and you're like, I could really just down a bag of Oreo cookies. Like, it's like, what are you not facing? What emotion are you trying to cover up? Because that's really what overeating and emotionally eating is. You are basically snuffing out that emotion or that feeling that you just don't want to feel.
Yeah. I love this. So I was guest on a podcast not 2 hours ago. And I was saying basically the same thing in different words. And I was asked, you know, what is one piece of advice you would give young Michael that you would give, you know, newer business owners was the topic of this podcast. And basically what I said is, you know thyself. Pay attention to what triggers you to want to walk away from the computer when there's something important to do, to walk away from the important stuff. Pay attention to what triggers you to, you know, want to go upstairs and flip on the TV or play video games. And then pay attention to the things that you're doing, whatever it is for you. So like for our conversation, right, it's eating a sleeve of Oreos, and then make those associations and just, you know, be aware of it, because that's the first step to kind of that self-empowerment, right? It's kind of, I think, the direction you're taking this would be my guess.
Yeah, you definitely, awareness is key, because once you start understanding, like, so a lot of times when I'm working with women, and if there's somebody who constantly is overeating, you kind of check out a little bit while you're overeating. Like, you zone out, and then you're like, oh crap, I just ate 20 Oreos, you know, and you don't know where that time went. It's like a time warp almost, like it's shoveling it in. But here's the thing, like, a lot of the mindset pieces, our brain, like our primitive brain, that subconscious brain, it wants instant gratification. So we're wired to want the Oreos.
Sure.
And we can absolutely have the Oreos. But again, it's like, you got to distinguish between, are you eating the Oreos because you're hungry, or are you eating the Oreos because you want to procrastinate and not do work? Or, you know, whatever it is, or because you just broke up with someone.
Or because you're stressed out in some other area of your life. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I actually was just talking to a client, and they were saying they had a job where they weren't really satisfied. Right. And they found that they were overeating because they weren't satisfied with the food. And they kept overeating. And now they have a job where they're satisfied, and they notice that satisfaction factor of the food has gone away.
I love that.
Which is fascinating, because it all interconnects. Like, We talk about weight loss a lot of times when I coach clients, but we're also talking about like business. We're talking about relationships, because how we do one thing in our life is really how we do everything. And if you can fix that one piece, you can kind of plug and play and put it into other areas of your life.
Yeah. It's weird, the connections that our minds will make somehow without us even realizing it. I used to be an avid nail biter, just constant. And then I quit my job and went into business for myself. And my nails have been beautiful ever since.
Yeah, our brain is like a computer, and it wants easy. It wants like the simplest path ever, because it doesn't, when we have to do a complicated series of steps, that requires energy. And our body is constantly trying to reserve energy for that, like a mountain lion that's going to get us at any moment, right? Because again, that's that primitive brain that's always like on guard. But yeah, so, and that's where people kind of get into like habits and patterns of what they're doing. And, there's a lot of talk about like replacing habits and things like that. And I say, you got to step back, like 2 steps back before that, replacing the habit, because it's what you're thinking in order to replace a habit. Like you can't swap one habit for another. So meaning, say somebody wants to quit smoking and instead they chew gum, but now they have this gum issue because they swapped. Now, granted, it's better than smoking. Do you know what I mean? Like you haven't figured out, oh, why am I smoking, or why am I grabbing the sleeve of Oreos or whatever?
You're addressing a symptom at that point, right? And what you're looking for is to like dig into the disease. It's not a perfect metaphor, but
yeah, I equate it to like if you're bleeding, like if you're gushing wounds and you're trying to put this little butterfly band-aid on it, it doesn't work. You got to get to the root of what is going on. But yeah, dis-ease, I mean, it's the same thing. It's like, don't just give me a drug to make it go away. What's really going on? And a lot of times it's up here. With food and nutrition and weight loss.
Talk to us more about your clients. Who is your ideal client?
I work with women over 40 generally, or they're very close to 40. I always joke saying when people are like in their 30s, I'm like, don't worry, you'll be 40 one day. So mostly, what's that?
I said it's coming for you.
It's coming. Be prepared. Definitely women over 40. A lot of them are CEOs, they're lawyers, engineers, most type A women. But then I have the other side who are not. So it really just varies on who wants help, and who's ready to really dive into the mindset, because a lot of people just want, oh, just give me a workout, just give me a food plan. And I'm like, no, I'm really on a mission to squash like the dieter's mentality. Between that and like generational cycles of dieters mentality, because, even as women and guys, I don't know if it's as much, maybe it is, but, my generation was taught to eat like a rabbit and do tons of cardio. And now we've passed that on to our little girls or little boys, and then they're going to pass it on. And it just keeps perpetuating, right? That cycle. And that is like one of my missions, is like, let's get rid of that, because it is not necessary. It creates a lot of shame and judgment as you get older. Imagine a teenage girl who's shamed for eating a piece of cake or something like that, because, you're going to be fat. No, you're not. You're not going to be fat if you eat a piece of cake. So yeah, definitely want to end that for sure.
Yeah, I love it. That's a good raison d'etre. I want to pivot a little bit and talk. I want to learn more about you. So at one point, doctors told you that you wouldn't be able to walk again and that you would be blind. Can you tell us more, a little bit about that?
Yeah. I was 17, and I remember, again, I was in the ballet world. So we were getting ready to go to New York City for costumes to get designed for the piece that we were doing. And I remember waking up and I literally could not move. Like I just felt like a cement brick was on me. And this was back in the day when there was no cell phones. Like we actually had to reach over and grab a phone. There was actually one next to me. I couldn't even like dial. Like it was a push button. I couldn't even dial. It was so bad. Yeah, I couldn't squeeze toothpaste out to brush my teeth. I was hospitalized. They didn't know what was going on with me. So I think in an effort to kind of like be like, we don't know what's going on, but this is the worst case scenario. That's what they told us. I couldn't do anything. I needed help getting to the bathroom. I mean, think about like a very active child, and all of a sudden they're bedridden and can't do really anything.
Sure.
Though looking back, I do have almost fond memories because I remember being home and I was reading a book, and I was running my hand over the page of the book, and my mom came in and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Well, if I'm going to be blind, I might as well learn how to read Braille." But it was a regular book. So it's like, maybe a little harder.
You're practicing.
Just practicing, yeah. But yeah, so I was sick for a while, and then I had one more symptom, and it's juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. It was flared.
Wow.
So apparently it's a gene in me, and it flared up because I had mono that year. I was like run down. It was a lot of like ballet stuff. I was just fatigued, and it triggered it. But in 9 months, I graduated barely. If I had missed one more day at school, I would have had to repeat. But I went on to dance, and I was dancing at Radford University on scholarship. And I honestly haven't had too many issues since. They said, pretty much that I should be good. I might have some like joint stuff here and there, but
Sure.
That's also been my driving force as far as like fueling my body. I want to make sure that I'm eating foods that are going to help me not have it's called Reiter syndrome. They call it something different now, but rheumatoid arthritis, as I get older.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's talk a little bit more about that. How has that, diagnosis and experience played into what you're doing today and your passion for helping women today, not only lose weight and keep it off, but also fuel themselves well?
Yeah, I think that ties in too with the physical therapy aspect, because I've always I plan on living to be in at least 100, right? That's my goal anyway. So I got at least 52 more years. So I want to be one of those 90-year-old women that are doing 5Ks, that are being active. I don't want to have to ask somebody help to open up a spaghetti jar or, bodily function stuff. This is part of the physical therapy. What I saw working in that, I don't want to be dependent on anybody. I want to be as independent as I possibly can. So taking care of yourself, have the Oreo, but also have some apples and chicken and healthy, fueling your body. What makes you feel good after you eat? And strength training for my generation. I know it's shifted a little bit, and I think this next generation coming up, especially women, are more open to it. Yeah. But my generation thinks 1 and 2 pound weights that's it for them. I'm like, you can lift much more, but it's bone structure, osteoporosis. Yep. There's something called Wolff's Law, that the more pressure basically you put on a bone, the stronger it is. And if you can start, today lifting weights in a safe manner, if you're over 40, and really building that strength, you're going to hopefully offset some of that osteoporosis if you're so inclined, to that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I couldn't agree more. I think, women, if getting under a squat bar, doing deadlifts, all that stuff is nothing but good for you. This is what they prescribe to astronauts when they come down from outer space, when they've lost bone density in 0 or low gravity situations. You come back down to Earth, you weigh 30 pounds less because your body's catabolized.
You don't have any more muscle. You've atrophied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, that's great. My wife, incidentally, is director of an outpatient PT clinic. So she's also a physical therapist. So
she knows.
I'm lucky. Well, and I'm lucky enough to be exposed to it as well.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think a lot of women are scared of lifting heavy. They have this preconceived notion that they're going to turn into She-Ra. And I'm like, no, yeah. And that's not the case. It's so hard for women to genetically speaking, to build that kind of muscle. You have to be so deliberate and specific. Yep. And the beauty, I always tell my clients this: if you do, for some reason, gain a lot of muscle and you're not happy, muscle is so easy to lose. It's literally so easy to lose. So don't worry about that for sure.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's even hard for men, honestly, to get big. Sometimes you have to, do very specific training regimens, diet regimens, all that stuff. So yeah, what when you first started coaching, what sort of things did you struggle with, and how did you overcome those struggles?
I think it was a lot of like my own mind drama of like, can I help them with coaching? Like that kind of thing. And like, is this working, or is this just like me? I'm able to do it to myself, but not have other people be successful. But once I started getting into it, not to like toot my own horn, but I feel like it's almost like a natural thing. I'm very good at like reading between the lines, hearing what they're saying and what they want, and really kind of getting in between there and being like, okay, I hear you saying this, but this is what's going on. And it's fascinating because the more I dive into the psychology and the mindset piece, I love watching, like listening to people, because I'm like, oh, that's interesting the way you think. It's interesting the way you're, coming across to however you're presenting yourself. It's just as fascinating because I've never, like as a ballet dancer, I don't even think mindset it was not even on my radar, like, yeah.
Yeah, hearing, so if your superpower, hearing what they're saying, but also knowing what's actually going on. How much of that do you attribute to you having been there, right? To you having gone through some of that?
Yeah, I am definitely my first client always. So like anything that especially if you listen to the podcast of mine, that's stuff that I've gone through. I've been in those places. Have I been over 100 pounds? No, but I always relate it to like, it doesn't matter if you're 10 pounds or 100 pounds overweight. If you're not comfortable in your body, there's some mindset stuff going on there. There's a disconnect somewhere in your thought process of like why you're not achieving what it is that you say that you want.
Yeah. Yeah. What is a typical engagement with you look like?
As the client comes in, or
yeah. With a client. So if you're working with a client, what does that engagement look like? Like, for example, do you work with someone on a monthly retainer basis? Do you have like a 3-month program? Is it a group course?
So I have 2 programs right now. One is a VIP, which is a one-on-one coaching. And we do weekly Zoom calls. They get customized workouts that I design for them. And that varies depending on the person, because I have clients that are doing like 5-minute workouts 3 times a week. And then I have people that are doing like 30-minute workouts, a couple times a week. So it really depends on what goals they want, what they're going after, that kind of thing. Nutrition I'm finding is more mindset stuff. Because again, we know that an apple is better for us than a donut or whatever. So yeah, it's mostly the coaching. I do have a program in both of my programs called Master Your Mind to Change Your Body. It's an on-demand video access. It's really my foundational work from 2006 to today. And you can go in there on demand and just watch whatever. There's worksheets and things like that. So the one-on-one coaching is that version. And then I just launched my group program, which the doors are closed at the time of this recording, but they will be open in June. I give them a workout that they can do. We have weekly group coaching calls, and they also get Master Your Mind, Change Your Body. Both of the programs have my stress-free eating guide. There's all kinds of fun bonuses that I have put in there. But what I really find is the mindset piece is that weekly coaching calls, because those are where we dive into whatever's going on, and finding out what is holding you back from getting what you say you want.
How often do you run this program? So you mentioned that we're recording this in early May, and they're going to be open in June. How often does this program kind of circulate through?
So the group program is, once you're in, it's lifetime access.
Okay.
So yeah, once you get in, and there's a 90-day money back guarantee on both my programs. So as we go through the 90 days, because I'm in the weight loss, industry, the diet and the fitness industry, there are a lot of like hesitations of like, is this legit? What's going on? Because there's unfortunately a lot of scammy things out there. So I want to make sure that everybody's comfortable coming in and know that they can, check it out and dive in, because once you're in, you're not going to want to go. But, and the one-on-one program is 6 months long.
Okay, nice. I like that confidence. Let's keep rolling. Let's keep rolling on that. Tell us about some big wins that some of your clients have had in those programs.
So I've had clients that have lost 20 pounds, 40 pounds, 90 pounds. I've had people not lose so much and lose a bunch of inches, so their dress sizes come down. But, everybody they want to look at that. But like the biggest things are like the mindset shifts. Like, I don't know how many clients have said to me, like, I feel so comfortable in my body. If you had told me when I came in that I would feel so great in my body, they were like, I wouldn't have believed you for sure. But yeah, it's all those mindset things. It's like sitting down to have food, like all your favorite foods in front of you, and you're totally comfortable with what to do. Like, exactly what to do. How your brain operates. Exactly how to keep the weight off, especially after you've lost it. I think that's a big point that most of those quick fix diets or workouts miss, because most people, again, that instant gratification that our brain wants, we just want to get to that lean body that you have in this mind, but then you can't hold it. You haven't learned what you needed to learn in order to hold on to that. And that is what I do through both of my programs, is really take everybody through that process of like, as we're losing it, I'm teaching you, this is how you're going to maintain it.
And what is that? Totally, all that tracks. That makes sense. What is the big, what is the mindset shift that you're teaching? Is this like self-worth? Is it discipline? Is it a combination of different things?
It's really figuring out like how to, I guess the bottom line really is like, what do you think about you? Because that comes forward in the choices that you're making. If you're not good with you, you're going to make choices that support that. Right? So like wherever you currently are, whatever body you have thoughts and feelings and decisions that you have made that created where you are. If you want to go somewhere else, you can't think and feel the same way. Like you have to become a new person. You have to hopefully level up, right? We're not aiming for leveling down with anybody, but you have to become this new version of you. And it's not that you're not the same person. It's just you operate differently. Like everybody has their same core values, things like that. But it's really understanding, like, if you want to be this new person, like, what does she think? What does she feel? How does she operate through the day? And a lot of those action steps that we're taking may be the same in the sense of like you're eating a certain whatever food or you're doing the workout, but it's how you think about it now. Yeah. So, a lot of people are like, I hate working out. I'm like, me too. Sometimes I do, but it's like, what do you want out of all this? And it's not discipline, because discipline is like I really, again, from the ballet world, very disciplined, perfection, you have high standards.
Sure.
When we put that on ourselves, when it comes to our weight and our body, it backfires. Like you can force yourself to work out for probably about 2 weeks and then you're out. I don't want to do this anymore. But again, that's uncovering, and everybody's so different. So I can't really like say this is the one thing, because it might be a different combination for different people.
Yeah. So people going through your programs are essentially getting a decent amount of, they're getting a lot of one-on-one attention as you're helping them through the mindset that's going to keep them there.
Yeah. Especially in the one-on-one coaching. I mean, that is clearly that's private coaching. So it's just one-on-one, but even in the group, I'll be honest with you, because I just launched the group in the fall and I only let so many people in and I shut it down, and I just opened up a soft launch because I'm still I'm not testing, like I know it works, but I haven't the next one is going to be the big launch. So if you are interested in that group, I say get in now, because it is like there's not a lot of people in there. So it is almost like one-on-one coaching in that weekly call, because, not everybody shows up or whatever. So they're definitely getting a good taste of it. So get in before all the masses come in.
Heard it here first, people.
Yeah.
So I want to know, how do you market for that? So I think you make a really good point that, you know, some of your big results, some of your big wins are losing 20 pounds, 40 pounds, 90 pounds. That's huge, but that's not really the big win, right? That's kind of the result, but it's not it, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, yeah.
how do you, Nicole, how do you market for that?
Yeah. I have some, what's the word? I have some thoughts about when I say lose weight for the last time, right? Because I don't want to say weight. Like I really don't even like, there's a lot of my clients who I don't even weigh them, you know, because this is what people are looking for, right? Women are looking to lose weight. So I kind of have to use that as an SEO, you know, search engine optimization type
Weight
thing.
loss, but describing your programs as weight loss alone is underselling it,
Right.
right?
Okay. So I might need to tweak my marketing just a smidge, but yeah, anybody that follows me, whether it's on my podcast, Facebook, I'm going to be jumping into Pinterest soon. They understand that I am like, it's not about the weight loss per se, because that's what people come to me. They're like, I want to weigh this number.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, you really don't, because say you want to weigh 120 and we get you down to 130 and you're ecstatic. You don't care about that number. You want to feel something.
You want to feel this way.
You want to feel whatever 120 represents to you. That is what you're looking for. You don't, the number is arbitrary. It doesn't mean
anything. Yeah.
Right. But when women are get online, that's what they're searching for. Weight loss coach, weight loss this, weight loss that. So that's why it's in my tagline. Who knows? It might change as things go on. I don't know. But as far as marketing, definitely my podcast, Shape It Up Over 40, has been hitting the charts. It still amazes me how much like I, you know, go on and look at my wherever it's ranking. And I know right now it's been in Hong Kong for like almost 4 months, teetering between like 150, 165, which is pretty good in my industry for the fitness category, because there's a lot of fitness podcasts out there.
Yeah.
But not just Hong Kong, you know, it's gotten into the US top. It was ranked by FeedSpot as number 50 for the must follow fitness podcast of 2022. Right. So the podcast is reaching all across the world, which again, as you a podcaster, I can assume you're the same way. I'm just like, it blows my mind that like people in Croatia and Thailand and Hong Kong and Australia and all over the globe are like listening to me just get on a microphone and share my ideas with the world.
Mm-hmm.
So that is definitely a big marketing piece. I do social media. I'm doing I have some fun things coming up that I can't share yet. So you'll have to check in with me later. But I have a TEDx talk that's coming up. So any kind of speaking engagements that I can do, you know, guesting on other podcasts, it's really how I get my message out.
I think, yeah, I mean, as a marketing strategist myself, I think that makes a lot of sense, because what you're selling, you know, like I said, weight loss just undervalues what you do, but you got to give them what they want in order to give them what they need. And doing it through something as organic and, for lack of a better word, pure as a podcast, right? It's just you raw talking in a microphone. I mean, that's a great way to clearly state your message over the course of time, right? So given that time frame, your message can be as complex as your program is, because you can talk about the different aspects of it and so forth, build that trust with people. It's a lot easier. You know, it arguably takes more work because it's more content. But I think you can more clearly communicate your message that way, right, than you can in a headline on a blog post.
Right. Because I also think people tend to read things how they hear it in their head. So like when you're verbally, you know, audible talking, or even seeing me on a video, you're going to get a different perspective rather than reading it in a blog post. But I will say too, for my podcast, I really approach it like I want them to walk away with some sort of win by the end of the podcast. So like, you could probably follow my podcast and lose a bunch of weight just following those tips. If you want to take it further, then work with me. But those podcasts, I mean, they just kind of like just binge listen to all of them because each one's going to build on the other. And, that's right. I know not everybody's going to work with me. So I want to have something that's out there that can help people.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I love it. Sweet. We talked about your big wins. Let's talk about your failures. Tell us about a story about a time when you have maybe royally screwed up and you learned a lot from it.
Okay, which time? Because there's more than one. Yeah, let's see. I think when I started my business, I was just like, let's just start a business, like no, there's no planning. It was just like, let's just jump in and figure it out. And
nice.
I did online training back in 2006 originally, and the technology was absolutely horrible. So like I went to mommy and me boot camps where we did stuff in the park. And I want to say the biggest probably fall on my face was I had a studio for a while. Did great. I had a bunch of people in there. And it was really doing well, but the balance between having two young kids and a husband that also had a full-time job, I was driving so much back and forth because if you're familiar with the trainer's schedule, it's 5 a.m. to 9, 10. And then like I would come back and pick the kids up and then I would go back. So I was driving back and forth to the studio, and then late hours. It just got to a point where it was like family or business. And it was really hard to maintain. And I was very upset. I closed the studio and I was really in a funk. And that's actually when I found Jen Sincero's You're a Badass book. But yeah, that was probably the biggest fail in the sense of like, I don't have a business degree. I had a marketing company that I had signed up that was purposely with trainers. But looking back, they were just like, here's the to-do list, right? Check, 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 check. And now that I know now, it's the mindset piece that was missing from that. You need to have confidence. You need to have whatever is driving that. And back then it was like, I'm just going to run myself on the ground and check all those off. And some of it worked and some of it didn't. So I would say that's probably the biggest fail. Like when I closed that studio, I was in a funk, big bad funk. And I was like, I actually went and got an insurance license, which is no offense to anybody who does insurance, but I'd rather stab myself with a pencil.
Not for everybody.
Not for everybody. I'm not a desk person. I am not like, yeah. So, but then, it really made me question, is this something I want to do? This was back in, I think 2010, maybe somewhere in there. And it really made me question, is this the direction that I want to go in? Or do I want to go back to physical therapy? What did I want to do? And I think it was like 6 months of me being in a funk and really listening to that You Are a Badass over and over and over and over again and letting it marinate in my brain where I was like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to help women really just understand what's going on to be healthy. And, I kept moving forward.
Nice. How did you find the book? Was it recommended to you by someone?
That's a good question. I don't remember. I think at the time I had subscribed to audible.com. The first book I got was some Hunger Game version and I hated it. I couldn't stand the author. I couldn't stand whoever was reading it. Sorry, whoever's out there if you listen to this. But I think it must have popped up on Audible because that was where I first listened to it.
Nice.
Over and over again.
Nice. I did that. I've done that with a couple books. The latest one I think that I've listened to multiple times was, I've got it here somewhere. Right here. This guy.
Oh, I have not read that. Soul Source.
Soul Source Entrepreneur by Christine Kane. It's really kind of written for women. But my wife and I listened to it in the car as we were driving around. And I ended up listening to it 2 or 3 times and obviously bought the book after that.
Yeah.
It's just, it's good stuff, for what it's worth. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. That's the same thing with Jen Sincero. Like I listened to the You Are Badass for years. And then I finally was like, see, now here, somebody can take this idea and run with it. Somebody needs to create an Audible, a hard copy, and a PDF or ebook, whatever you want to call it, version, and be able to buy that all in one chunk. Like that would make me super happy.
Yeah.
Because I go from one thing to another, you know, and it's like, if you have it on Audible, then I can't like visually see it. I have to go buy the book, you know, so just my little 2 cents.
I think there's a study that was done at some point. I don't remember. I'm trying to remember details, but there was a study, peer-reviewed, where if you listen to an audiobook while you're reading the book, you will, because you're learning it right in multiple ways at the same time, so you'll take in more and you'll actually remember more. Yeah,
I think anytime you can incorporate all your senses, even reading it out loud while listening to it, I think that, because it's like, if
you could somehow smell it too, that'd be great.
Right. Get the whole experience.
Is going.
Right.
Awesome. Let's see, Nicole, is there anything else that we haven't touched on that you would like to chat about before we kind of wrap things up?
I don't know. I feel like we've covered everything. I don't know. Anything pop in your mind? Anything you want to know about me? Deep dark secrets?
Deep dark secrets. Wow, we really are opening the Pandora's box. Where do I begin?
I didn't say I would answer it, but you can ask all you want.
That's fair. Gosh, I don't know. I wonder, well, actually, you know, one thing, I wonder how much, as a professional athlete, and specifically in ballet, I wonder how much kind of dysfunction around weight and food you saw in that may have, you know, led you somehow or another over the years into what you're doing now.
Yeah, for sure. I'm still like uncovering things that have happened that I was not. So it's interesting. I kind of relate this to where we live, right, in our house, we all have a smell. And when we live here, we can't smell it because it's our smell. But if I came over to your house, there would probably be your smell, and I could recognize that as a different smell than my smell. Right? I am getting somewhere with this. So like growing up growing up in the ballet world, like that was just what I was taught and exposed to. I didn't know any different. So like as I'm older and kind of investigating more of the mindset piece, I'm realizing a lot of the things that happened to me were trauma-based. And to know that, it's kind of weird because it's like, well, wait a minute, I grew up in that environment. I don't know any different. So it's almost like I don't recognize the different smell. So yeah, there were, I would say I was never anorexic or bulimic or anything like that, but I definitely disorganized eating. But it's interesting. This was pointed out to me actually not too long ago, is like, you know, in the ballet world, you have to be very lean, right? I'm 5'2" on a good day. And in my prime dancing, I was like 98 pounds, right? And they were like, you look fabulous. I'm like, looking back, I look like a skeleton. But, you know, that reinforcement of you have to be lean, and they didn't care how you got down to there. And then you get reinforced by getting lead roles, getting the accolades and stuff. So it's reinforcing this negative behavior. And, you know, that's toxic. You know, if you're not healthy, if you're not eating or whatever you're doing, like for me, it was like, don't eat anything, as little as possible, and then have like a whole box of Cameo cookies, right? Like, so there was this ebb and flow of like, okay, I have to eat barely little, and then I'm going to overeat on the weekends. And you know, that's not healthy for you. That's not, and the whole mindset piece of like why you're doing that. So yeah, there was a lot of things I've seen, unfortunately, some dancers who have passed away at a young age because they're anorexic. You know, and that's the ugly side of ballet. there are other sports, gymnastics, ice dancing, ice skating, wrestling. There's a lot of sports that do focus on that weight and how you look. And, I get it from an athletic perspective in the sense of like, yes, you need to be lean because you're standing on your toes, you're easier to lift. But at the same time, there's got to be a healthy balance. There's got to be some line that says, and I think it's getting better. I'm kind of out of touch with the ballet world, but I think the next generation that's coming up, like if you ever watch So You Think You Could Dance, there are different body types instead of like the stick figure for ballet. So it is a little bit more open, and hopefully they're getting healthy advice. I did not get healthy advice growing up in the ballet world. So yeah, and definitely fast forward to now, knowing what I know, and this ties into like that generational cycle of dieting, being shamed for having a piece of cake, or, a lot of people hide food and they go eat it. There's all those things that like, we need to kind of bring it out into the open and be like, it's okay to eat whatever you want, right? And just understand the parameters. I teach what I call the golden rule in my programs, and it teaches you a simple way to be like, know where your kind of boundaries are, I guess is a good way to put it. Yeah.
Would you be willing to share that golden rule with us on the podcast?
No.
Fair enough.
Doesn't hurt to ask, but
fair enough. Nicole, you have a discovery call you'd like to offer to our viewers and listeners. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a 60-minute call with me. You and I are going to jump on a Zoom call, and we're going to find out what's going on. Like, why are you stuck? You will definitely get some value out of just the call itself. We are going to talk about like, what do we like to work together? And then you get to decide whether you want to continue working together or not. So there's no pressure in the call. I'm here to help you and to guide you to what you want. So you can definitely get that call at shapeitupfitness.com/call, CALL at the end.
Awesome. We'll add that URL to the show notes. And where else can our listeners and viewers connect with you online?
I am mainly on Facebook. You can just friend me at Nicole Simonin. I do have a business page, but if you really want to connect, it's definitely through my personal page. And then like I said, I do have a Pinterest page, and that will be juiced up in the next, actually, when this comes out, it'll probably be rolling. So you can definitely get information there as well.
I love it. I think Pinterest is such a great platform for coaches, and so many of them don't even think about it. So I'm glad to hear you taking advantage of that.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Nicole Simonin, thank you so much for joining us on the Remarkable Coach podcast. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a joy. And you nailed the last name. Not many people get that, so it's all good.
And thank you to our listeners and our viewers for sticking around and hanging out. We'll see you guys next time. Cheers.